I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. And if you've been looking at our website, starborninstitute.org, you would already know that we're talking about some bright light in the sky, because today there is a new moon at 8 degrees of Capricorn, and there are 4 planets, or a stellium of planets, in that sign. And that's why, if you've been looking at our website, you would know that the title of tonight's show is Moving a Mountain. And that is because Capricorn does rule the mountains and the cold, but it is a business sign, and it rules the traditional 10th house of your career and your public reputation in the community, and it rules rewards that you earn the hard way over a long period of time. So it rules retirement plans and pension plans as well. And so today, the Sun, the new moon, Mercury, and Pluto, all 4 of them, were in Capricorn. And although they're not being trined by any other planets in Earth signs, the fact that there is a stellium, or 4 planets, just in that one sign simply means that the things that Capricorn stands for are going to be of concern to all of us. And that is why, if you're thinking about moving a mountain, then actually you're going to have to do that in a somewhat slow and steady way. Because of all the planets in the heavens right now, there is only one planet that is retrograde, or going backward. There have been many more throughout the year, and that slows things down. But for right now, Mercury is the only retrograde planet, and it'll go direct by the middle of January. And so for just right now, there could be a little confusion or mixed messages, or what I think there will be, since this is the holidays, is there can be some delayed notifications or messages that you could receive by the middle of January or so, and they would involve the things that the Earth signs rule. The Earth signs, Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn, rule not only your 10th house of career, but they rule your job, and they rule all employment matters and health care, and they also rule how you make your money and what you spend it on. So they rule investments as well as long-term rewards, such as pension funds. So anything that is a practical matter that deals with your work life, or with your income, or with your investments, can be accentuated right now. However, Capricorn, since it does rule the mountains, it rules things that are done over a long period of time in a rather slow, steady, persevering way. And so Capricorns make progress simply by not skipping steps. They don't like to do that. They like to proceed in a somewhat structured way, steadily but somewhat slowly, so that they don't miss anything until they reach a goal. So that is what is emphasized right now: persevering, slow, steady progress. And Capricorn also rules big government, and it rules large corporations, and it rules the heads of countries. So this is a time when the captains of industry, the people at the very top, or people that are heads of large government agencies, or even whole countries, can be wanting to reposition themselves and their organizations in order to ensure success. And the kind of success they are looking at, or looking for, is steady, strong success over time. Remember, Capricorn always rules things that occur over time. And that is because the ruler of Capricorn is Saturn, and Saturn is called the taskmaster. It's a planet that demands that you do something right, and if you don't, you have to do it over until you get it right. So if there is going to be some sort of change in the work area, or in your career, or in your investments, it probably will be a somewhat glacial change. It will happen slowly, the way a mountain moves. And so it isn't as if something is going to happen overnight right now, but you do need to be prepared for a tremendous emphasis as we begin the new year on work and employment and investments and in long-term security, so practical matters. At the same time, there can be a real effort by a lot of people to be a little bit more accommodating so that they can build greater strength, and that strength can lead to success over time. And this is a worldwide concern. It isn't just you and me. We're the people that will be affected by the decisions that the captains of industry are going to make. But they can be thinking of how to reposition what they had right now so that they can ensure success in the long run and make their organization stronger. And as I mentioned, Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn. And Saturn is in Sagittarius, right behind this new moon today in Capricorn. And Sagittarius rules the courts and it rules higher education. And so what you will be required to have from now on is a lot of patience. Remember, because things might happen pretty slowly, but in a persevering way, they'll continue to change. So you'll need patience, and you will need to learn lessons from a hard task master. In other words, as more jobs open up, or as the workplace demands higher and higher skills, more people will need retraining. And so they will need to perhaps go back to college, or there will be schools that will have to insist that people learn new skills now. And so you'll have to endure that and be patient before you can meet a goal that will qualify you for a much better job or a higher paying job. And that is possible. So you could be repositioning yourself in the current employment climate, or you can be looking for a new career. And this is a wonderful time to think about preparing for that instead. But changes will be somewhat slow. The reason why they'll be slow is perhaps you'll have to take a lot of steps before, and be re-educated quite extensively before you qualify for something better. But there can also be a lot of resistance set up to change right now, and that is because there are 6 planets in a harsh T-cross in cardinal signs. The 4 planets in Capricorn are squaring Uranus in Aries and also Jupiter in Libra. And so this is a time when partnerships can be sorely tested. And when people who have gotten real cozy with their life in the ivory tower would not want to change. And so you're going to meet people that will be very stubbornly clinging to the past. And that can prevent swift progress, so that is why you should employ patience right now. But in the end, this new moon today is at the 8th degree of Capricorn, and 8 is the number of success. And so if people at the top are deciding that they've got to move a mountain in order to ensure greater success, they're going to do it. And that is why, even if you don't find out until after the 1st of the year, there are going to be some changes made, slowly but surely, but they will help to ensure the success of all of us in the end. Okay, what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Well, Aries, I think that very definitely you are going to be involved in one way or another with some sort of a management change, or a slow change, or policy change in an organization that you work for. So if you work for a large corporation or a large government agency, there are going to be some changes, Aries. And I suggest that you don't get too cozy where you are. You may feel very cozy and secure in your job right now, but the 4 planets in Capricorn were harshly squaring your sun sign where you have Uranus, and Jupiter in Libra is opposing that Uranus. And so this is a time when I would hope you would be proactive, Aries, and rather than sort of staying real cozy where you are and thinking that's going to last forever, it isn't. And the reason why is budgets could be cut, there could be management changes, there definitely will be policy changes, and that is to ensure success in the long run, but it could be quite challenging to you, Aries. And my suggestion is for you to go ahead and be proactive and look for something better now, or at least try to get some training that will qualify you for something better now. Don't be left behind, Aries, because people that get a little too cozy are going to be left behind. This is a time when we all have to try to reposition ourselves a little bit for the changes that are coming. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus, this is a time when this particular new moon today, right at the end of the year, is wonderful for you. And that is because there are 4 planets in Capricorn, the Sun, Moon, Mercury, and Pluto, all trining your sun sign. And that simply means that even though Mercury is retrograde now, and it will go direct by the middle of January, that means there can be some mixed messages about your job or your career or the qualifications. There can be increased standards or qualifications that you have to meet in the coming year. And yet the news should be good for you. And if you don't have good news right now, Taurus, just wait a few weeks, and by the time Mercury goes direct, you will have. That good news could be about your investments. It could be about your retirement plan. There could be added value in that now. Or it could simply be that you will be included in changes, slow, persevering changes that are being made in the coming year to strengthen the organization. So I think you're going to benefit, Taurus, but you too shouldn't try to be too cozy where you are. Instead, you should try to really make sure you've got all the skills you need to make more money. And if you don't, you should try to get some retraining, because there's going to be good money out there for you, Taurus, if you qualify for it. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini, this is a time when I don't think you're going to be too concerned with what the captains of industry are doing right now, because you can be concentrating and absolutely delighted with new partners that can be very generous with you and can be wanting to share the workload so they can be quite helpful to you. And Venus in Aquarius is also trining your sun, just the way Jupiter in Libra is, and so you can have a rather rosy vision of the future, and so can other people who share your vision, Gemini. So I think that you are into making a lot of plans right now and picking up new partners, and I don't think that you're interested in slow, persevering changes. I think you're just interested in change or anything that has a new, brighter perspective right now. And so I think you're going to be enjoying these holidays because you'll be very busy making sort of spring plans right now, and they should turn out rather well for you, so good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, Cancer, this is a time when I think you have to, this is year end, and I think that you might consider something else being at the end. And it could be your career, Cancer. And it could be that you feel you're just in a dead-end spot and you want to try for something better. It could be that there are people that have been steadily putting a lot of pressure on you and creating confusion and indecision, and they've been doing so much of that that you could be thinking, oh, I've just had it. I've had enough of that. And you certainly would be right about that, Cancer, because today, that new moon in Capricorn with the Sun, Moon, Mercury, and Pluto are all opposing your sun sign, and that's a lot to live with. So there can be overriding opposition to you remaining just doing the same thing that you've always been doing. That is going to change, Cancer. And rather than you put up with other people's demands right now and pressure from people who can be rebellious or want to sort of go their own way, that's Uranus and Aries squaring your sun, or pressure from partners or from legal dealings right now, that's Jupiter in Libra squaring your sun, you may simply decide to call it quits on something. And I think you should, Cancer. And that is because, just because you're fed up with the way other people are acting and you're realizing they're not going to change, which they're not going to do, then it's up to you to make a change. I mean, that's the only option you've got left, Cancer, and you should make a change. And that is because I think somewhere in what you're doing, you're sort of miserable or you've had it. And so you need to anticipate changing this next year. And right after the holidays, you should be looking for something else or contemplating retirement if you're close enough to that, because Capricorn does rule retirement. And it might be that companies are going to be repositioning themselves, and they may cut out a certain segment of the workforce, and that may involve you, Cancer. So just like Aries, try to be proactive right now and make a change, and particularly one that favors your happiness, because I don't think you have been happy lately. And that's why you've got to get away from the pressures of people that are not going to change right now. If they're not going to change, then it's up to you. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, you do have two wonderful planets trining your sun for another year. Saturn in Sagittarius is trining your sun at 21 degrees, and Uranus in Aries, also at 21 degrees, is trining your sun today. So that is wonderful. It means that you have been benefiting from very experienced people who may have been good mentors or teachers, and that has helped you. And it has helped you in a way that could provide a new opening for you, or some sort of sudden change that is very creative, that you would really like, Leo. So that's great. And the influence of those two planets is going to remain for another year. So there can be additional opportunities coming your way in the new year. And actually, Leo, I guarantee you there are, because there are two eclipses in Leo this next year, and the lucky north node of the moon is coming into your sign as well. So you have to take the bitter with the sweet. And right now, Venus in Aquarius is opposing your sun sign, which means a lovely person wants to go their own way. They're looking at their own future, and they could be very creative or very musical or talented in one way, and they're thinking of developing that talent, and they may have to leave. So there may be some sort of separation as somebody else goes their own way, but that's okay. You instead are involved in some process that's going to take about another year that will qualify you for better things and a permanent change that will be very, very good for you, Leo. So, okay, you've got to go at a little slower pace than some other people, but you will benefit in the end, Leo, so hold the thought. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo, remember I said that the title of this show is Moving Mountains. And that can certainly be something that you will be deeply involved with, Virgo, I'm happy to say, because the Sun, New Moon, Mercury, your own ruler, and Pluto in Capricorn were all trining your Sun. And so that simply means that you are going to probably get some sort of delayed good news. It may come after the holidays, after Mercury goes direct in January, that could involve an opportunity for a promotion or increased responsibility. In other words, I think it's going to be good news. And I think it's something that should have happened before, but for one reason or another, it may have been delayed or postponed or sort of put on hold. But now I think something's going to come through, because as the captains of industry or the heads of large organizations decide to reposition their whole organization in order to ensure greater strength and future success, they are certainly going to include you in that. And that is because you're a very good problem solver, and you are somewhat patient. And remember, changes are not going to happen quickly, but they're going to be very, very steady. And I'm happy to say, Virgo, you're going to be included in those changes, not excluded. In fact, I think your stock's going to go up. Congratulations. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra, this is simply a time with Jupiter in your sun sign that you can certainly be full of good cheer for the holiday season, but the four planets in Capricorn today, the Sun, New Moon, Mercury, and Pluto, were all strongly squaring your sun sign, and Uranus in Aries is opposing your sun sign. So there simply can be resistance somewhere in your life right now, or there can be some sort of separation or rebellion even. Maybe somebody just wants to go their own way and they're not willing to listen to a compromise of any sort. Or it can be that as the captains of industry reposition their company or the management in their companies or in government agencies, that could prove to be quite a challenge to you, Libra. What should you do? Well, Venus in Aquarius, remember Venus is your own sun sign ruler. That Venus is trining Jupiter in your sun sign. No matter what happens or what challenges you can be facing, Libra, I don't think you're going to be too worried about them for too long, because the future is calling you and you are going to have wonderful options in your future. So I think that you are going to be either going to have to decide to stay where you are and maybe increase your skills, or to try something new. And either way, I think you'll benefit, because this is going to be a good year for you, Libra. But right now, you can be meeting resistance and some sort of challenge, particularly in the business world or concerning long-term rewards or pension plans. So you'll have to be a little bit careful in your choices, but you'll be okay. Okay, what does it mean to Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, this is a time when you need to sort of think things over carefully. And the reason why is that your rulers are favorably aspecting your sun sign. In other words, the sun, new moon, Mercury, and Pluto, your ruler in Capricorn, are sextiling your sun sign today. And that means that as the captains of industry or the powers that be in government organizations decide to reposition things, they're certainly going to be having their eyes on the bottom line or on budgets. And yours is a fixed financial sign. So that's what I mean by you're going to have to look things over carefully now and sort of weigh what people are proposing against what you can really feel comfortable about affording. That's why you need to think about things. And then Neptune and Mars, your other ruler, are in Pisces, and they are trining your sun. But Mars is not, doesn't function too well in Pisces, and so there is the possibility that you could find out about things that are happening behind the scenes that are really not good to know or not good to do either. And so that's, once again, why you need to think things over carefully right now, Scorpio, because there is danger around, or there could be trouble coming your way if you ask for it. And so I hope you don't. And that's why this is simply a time of careful consideration. But perhaps it would not be a good idea for you to take quick action right now. Wait and see what others do first. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarian? Well, Sagittarius, this is a time when you can be contemplating big changes. And the reason why is because you might be involved with an organization that is thinking about that. And that is because Saturn is in your sign, yes, and it's a serious planet, and it's at 21 degrees today. Jupiter in Libra at 21 degrees is exactly sextiling it, and Uranus in Aries at 21 degrees is exactly trining it. 21 is a Jupiter number. It's a really good number. It's a lucky number. And so this is a time when you can be seriously contemplating joining a larger organization, but you might need a little additional training, and you might have to take that training from a hard taskmaster. But if that allows you to get a better job or have a more secure future, this is a very good time for you to think about that. So even if you have to make an initial sacrifice in training in order to get a better job and a higher income for a long time, I would say there's a good return on your investment if you consider that, Sagittarius. So this is a time when you should look for security, because Capricorns are very security prone. And you've got the ruler of Capricorn in your sign, and you've got 4 planets in Capricorn right ahead of your sign. So think everything over and think long term, Sagittarius. This is a good time for you to consider that. Not short term, but long term. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, this is a wonderful new moon for you today. And that is because there are so many planets. A stellium, which is 4 or more planets in a sign. So the sun, moon, Mercury, and Pluto are in your sign right now, Capricorn. And although they are not being trined by planets in any of the other earth signs, they are very strong just the way they are. when Mercury does go direct in January, you should be getting some really good news. So there could be a delay, or there could be some mixed messages right now, and so you need to employ patience. And you do need to consider getting some extra training from a hard taskmaster in order to qualify you for a very secure position. Or this can be a time with Pluto in your sign, Capricorn, when you are thinking of forming your own company. And that is something that you should pursue if you can, because this is an excellent time for you to begin to set yourself up in a very secure way for the rest of your life, if you can. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius, Venus is in your sign, and there aren't any planets in the other fixed signs. So you certainly are probably the belle of the ball right now, or very, very popular, and you can certainly be in the mood for love and be very attractive to very generous partners, because Jupiter in Libra is trining your sun. So if you've got an eye on something new and creative in the future, what you need to do is get help with that. In other words, two heads are better than one, Aquarius. So go ahead and seek new partners and good legal advice right now, because you want to be able to set up something in a proper way so that you don't get caught a little bit short in the future. So you have to be sort of thorough right now, Aquarius. But you too, since that new moon was right behind your sun sign, you could be involved in an organization that is deciding that it has to reposition itself for a stronger future or greater success. And so there can be quite a bit of activity going on in the background of your life, perhaps by an employer right now, and you should find out a little bit more about that by the middle of January. But enjoy your popularity while you've got it, Aquarius. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces, this is a time when you have to be extra cautious. And the reason why is that you have Mars in your sign along with Neptune, and there are no planets in the other water signs. And so that Mars and Neptune are being harshly squared by Saturn in Sagittarius right now, which is an indication that you can be sorely challenged by someone who can be a hard taskmaster, or is wanting you to work very hard to increase your skills, and so that you can respond to higher standards that organizations are going to be setting. In other words, if they're going to pay good money for jobs, they want those people that have the jobs to be very well trained. And so you may have to go through some additional training, Pisces, or really follow stricter rules and regulations or changes in policies right now that you may not like. But that's why I'm urging you to be really cautious, because the new moon today in Capricorn was sextiling your sun. As companies or government agencies reposition themselves, it isn't necessarily going to hurt you, Pisces, but you still are going to have to live up to more rigid standards, performance standards, and for that you're going to need extra training. So you just got to bite the bullet and do it, Pisces. But don't criticize anybody for it, and don't show any anger or frustration, because in the end, this new moon is going to do you some good. All right, thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you have a very happy new year. And if you would like to subscribe to the show and get it every week, you can do that on our website, starborninstitute.org. Bye.